AC Funtime Superstar, and we're visiting with Grandma. Grandma, how are you?
I'm doing fine. On God now.
All right.
Hi, my name is Cora and I'm here today to share with you my story about my brother Herman Connor, who was diagnosed with renal medullary carcinoma, a rare kidney cancer that affects people that have the sickle cell trait and in very rare cases the sickle cell disease. My brother, he was feeling fine. He's been healthy his entire life, goes to the gym on a regular day-to-day basis, healthy, and for a while he started complaining about bad back pain. He thought it might have been a pulled muscle from him working out so much in the gym, but he noticed he started also losing weight. He just figured it was because he wasn't eating, you know, how he normally would eat really heavy. And the very last symptom that he got, he found traces of blood in his urine. And so that was a red flag for him, and he drove himself to the emergency room. When he drove himself to the emergency room, they did an x-ray and they saw a mass inside of his kidney. And the doctor said that it was consistent with cancer, but they couldn't tell him for sure that it was cancer. He would have to follow up with a urologist. And he did follow up with a urologist, and about 4 weeks later, he was diagnosed with renal medullary carcinoma, which is a kidney cancer, a very rare kidney cancer. I was driven to start a nonprofit to try to bring awareness. Others need to be made aware of this cancer. They need to know.
Good afternoon and welcome to the AC Funtime Superstar. My name is AC and I'm sitting here with a young lady that's going to give me a little history on the community of Akua. What year did you come in Akua? And first of all, who are we speaking to?
Ethel Williams.
Miss Ethel, what year did you came into Akua?
1948.
What can you tell me about Akua?
It was a big neighborhood that loved everybody, and we all grew up together. And some of us are gone now, especially the older people. But we was a loving community. We've always had good children. It's not like we didn't do anything. We did things too, but it wasn't like it is now, no.
So in other words, what you're telling me, Akua at one time was a community, well, you would call very well respected.
It's very well respected now because most of the time we've cleaned up Akua tremendous in the last 10 years.
So in other words, did Akua at one time, at one point, got out of hand?
Oh yeah, you know, after the old people started dying out. See, one time we used to look up to certain men in our community, like Mr. Perry, Bishop Moore, Reverend S.T. Simmons, Reverend Robert Fields. We had people to guide us. And when we was doing something wrong, and if they came by, they let us know right there, hey, you got to put a stop to that. That don't happen to us in here. We're gonna tell your mom, and most likely they'd spank you themselves. They didn't have to wait until they had to tell your parents anything. They would spank you themselves.
So Bishop Moore, I think that's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Now I've heard of Bishop Moore. Tell me a little about Bishop Moore, and he had the church, and give me a little background on Bishop Moore.
Bishop Aaron Moore.
Maybe part 2, but stay tuned. We'll be right back. Now what we want to do now.
I've been running too long.
Okay, well, come here, let me get you and stop running, boys.
I don't know how to stop running, bossy.
I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna take you to the back and put you in the bed. Okay, dog, I know you're upset. Hey, don't you let your mama get to you like that.
People hear me speak, they ask if I'm Jamaican or what island do I stay in. And when I say Charleston, they instantly think of plantations, racism, or how my people were held captive. So I'm here to correct some things. See, my ancestors were nothing close to passive. Home of the slave? Nah, home of the brave. 1739 is when the first war was engaged. Not talking about the American Revolution. I'm referring to the fight against the slavery institution, better known as the Gullah War, which is disguised as Seminole to confuse us even more. See, my history was a mystery until I started educating myself. Now I embrace the knowledge that's collecting dust on many library bookshelves. See, a lot of folk my age don't seem to get it, but I get why. My ancestors risked their lives to learn their ABCs back when it was illegal for black folk like me to write and read. Cause liberty and literacy ain't different. Understand the system set in place to keep you ignorant and unaware of your rights. Cause if you don't know you at war, then you won't put up a fight.
Again, here in Akua, celebrating this afternoon, a wonderful day. God was good, the rain did not come, but we are now with another celebrity. Is that former president?
Former president, yes, sir. My name is Tosha Giles.
And what will you have to say about Akua, the good, kind words about your community?
I'm just glad to see everybody come out today to this fabulous occasion. It's been a long time in the making. We've been working behind the scenes for a long time, a couple of years now, trying to get the dedication to the center for Mr. Perry and Mr. Webb. And we're just glad that everybody in the community could come out and gather for this joyous occasion.
Well, is there any history about Akua? Can you share with us?
A little bit of the history. Before this actual site of where the center is located now, it used to be across the road. And it was a smaller building. It's a very small building. And at that point in time, my mom used to run the community center, Miss Annie Giles. And it was very, very, very nice to see everybody coming out all the time and staying together as a community. She did a lot of things like feeding the people and feeding, people who were in need. So, and Mr. Perry and Mr. Webb, I remember they used to go over there to the older meetings, and all the older generation used to go over there to community meetings, and it was very nice to see them gathering. And I just want to say that we as a younger generation need to come on board and pick up where they actually left off, because they're gone now and they've laid the foundation, and we need to pick up and move on.
Do you have any words for any other community as to how can they get involved with their community to turn out success to reach their full potential?
First, you will need to start by trying to find out who your councilman in the area is, and then try to find out who is the actual president of your community and start going to the meetings. Each community has a monthly meeting, and it's normally only an hour long. Go out and voice your opinions. The councilman by himself can't do it. We, the people, have to voice our opinions and tell them and demand what we want, and that's the only way we're going to see change.
Do you have any remarks or suggestion for any of the crimes that's going on in the community? How can we get involved to cut some of the crimes?
As far as the crimes, I think a lot of this is starting with the basic stuff at home. We've gotten away from just basic manners and respect for one another. And I think once we start there, then we can actually try to tackle some of the crime, because it's like no one has respect for fellow man anymore. Okay,
and we thank you very much. Elder Town, you have any remarks or any questions that you'd like to ask at this time?
Yes, I would like to say that this is a thing that we could do in all communities, come together and make it happen.
Thank you very much. And you heard it first right here on the AC Fun Time Superstar. On behalf of AC, Elder Town, we'll see you on the other side.
Now when the road starts getting rough and the going starts getting tough, Lord, I've got you. I don't have to worry about a thing, yes I know. 'Cause under your wings I find shelter for my soul. You give me peace, Lord, you give me love. No more defeat, Lord, it's all because you reign. What a beautiful thing, yeah. When I first felt the love of God, I understood that a bond has been made with us, and it felt so good. Now when your lips start moving more, and the word starts going forth.
Bishop Aaron Moore, I would call him the most amazing man you would ever meet as a child growing up. He's about 6 feet tall, dark skin, nice looking, had beautiful children we all raised together. And yeah, he used to put the beating on me too, right along with his children.
So Bishop Moore would discipline you?
Yeah, discipline anybody's children. Mr. Perry would too. And Mr. Perry, all Mr. Perry had to do was look at you. He didn't have to put his hand on you.
So Mr. Perry was the president at one point of this community?
Yes.
So who was it that cleaned up the community?
Everybody got involved. The community got involved. The parents around here got involved. Everybody got involved, and then we started looking out for each other, and we started talking to children on the street and trying to let them know that this is not the way to go. Even some of your own you had to talk to, and you even encourage other people to talk to your children, because sometimes children don't listen to you, but they might really look up to somebody as a mentor in their community that they really love and respect, and most likely that particular person could get them out of the things that they were doing. And Mr. Perry, Bishop Moore, Reverend Robert Fields, and S.C. Simmons were these type men.
Okay, so in other words, they were the type of men that the guys looked up to. Tell me what year that the trouble started, what year that Akua got out of control, and what actually happened. When you say get out of control, explain to me what you mean by out of control. What happened? They started fighting, guns, drugs. What happened?
Everything was in here, just like in any other black community. Everything was in here, but now for the last 10 years, you don't see boys on the corner after 10 o'clock.
Well, what year did this community got out of control?
It has to be in the 80s. It had to be in the 80s.
And what do you feel like contributed?
Things that kids see on TV.
Don't play that song for me, 'cause it brings back memories of days that I once knew, the days that I spent with you. Oh no, don't let him play it. It fills my heart with pain. Please stop it right away. I remember just what he said. He said, darling, I love you. You know that he lied. Darling, I need you. You know that you lied. Darling, I love you. Darling, you lied. You lied. You lied. Hey, mister, don't play it no more. Don't play it no more. I can't stand it. Don't play it no more. No more. No more. I remember our first date. He kissed me and he walked away. And I was only 17. I never knew that he could be so mean. He said, darling, I love you. You know that you lie. Darling, I need you. Ooh, you lie. Darling, I love you. Darling, you lie. You lie. You lie. Ooh, darling, I love you. You know that you lie. Darling, I need you. You know I know you lie. Darling, I love you. Darling, you lie. You lie. You lie. I remember our first date. You kissed me and you walked away. And I was only 17. I never knew that you could be so mean. He said, darling, I love you. Ooh, you lie. Darling, I need you. Oh, you know you lie. Darling, I love you. Don't play it no more. No more. No more.
Good afternoon once again, Akua and AC, co-host Elder Colleytown.
Yes, I'm glad to be here in Akua. They have a dedication, and we have this young man who's going to tell us a little bit about when he was a little boy up in here.
This is Mr. What's your name, sir?
It's Rico Shivers.
And what can you tell us about Akua? And I heard that you grew up here in Akua.
Yes, sir. I grew up and raised in Akua. It was a very good community. And myself and Mr. Scott and Mr. Jones and Mr. Birch, we trying to give back in community, the same community we was born and raised in. That's one of the best thing what a young man can do at a certain time of life. We're trying to give back. And top of that too, I would like to thank Mr. AC Fun Time to coming out there, and we had a very nice time today. To give Mr. Perry, Mr. Webb what they deserve. Two outstanding pullers in the community. They strive for community center, they strive for grants, they strive to keep the baseball park going on, and the football team just came up 7, 8, or 9 years ago, and we so proud to be an Akabee. I thank God that I am one Akabee citizen. I left, I came back, and I thank God to give me an opportunity to really give back in the community. And I thank you all for coming by today. May God bless y'all.
Thank you very much. And would you like to elaborate on the fact that I was told that Mr. Perry and the other president had some part of being responsible for cutting down on the crime in Akabee?
Oh, yes, sir, that's correct. Because what happened, we had a police code enforcement, and we had police officer, Mr. Webb. Mr. Perry was one of the head community leaders, because at one time the community was real bad, you know.
Can you give any advice to any other communities as to what can they do to get their community cleaned up?
Yes, I think one of the main goals in the community is to get the young children to get involved inside the community, and also get the young people to come to church, because we look at the past that every week 2 or 3 or 4 young kids get killed, and we need to stop it. We need to curb the violence. We have to do it at home first, and the whole community can raise one child at a time. That's something we need to do. We need to stop doing certain things and give back to the community and help those young kids grow up to be adult like me. Because sometime, I just went to a funeral last week, a 19 years old young man got killed. Prior before I got the funeral, another 25 years old man got killed the same exact day. And we need to stop that. Only we can stop that till we have to counsel those kids. We got to take time, our busy time, and take time and give the kids 2 or 3 hours, twice or 3 times a week. That's the only we can get it back.
So in other words, you're saying we're going to have to each one teach one.
We have to do that, sir. It's correct. We have to sit down and sit with those kids and understand those kids too. You know, certain things they say is not like the word we like to say, but we got to sit down and break it down to them.
Meet them right where they are.
We have to do that, because we came up to a certain era. They came in the era. We have to understand that we got to deal with the era. We can't go back and tell them what we used to do. That's the past. We need to get in the future and keep the train rolling in the right direction.
We thank you very much. On behalf of AC and Elder Colleytown, we'll see you on the other side. Thank you very much, sir.
Boss said, not now.
Okay, you ain't got
What is this on my table?
Oh, this-
Hold on a minute. What did I tell you, boss said?
no, this does some stuff from the Publisher Clearinghouse. See, I'm a part of that pyramid network and stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get it on up.
Boss, really?
Huh?
What you need to do is send. Has anybody got time for your turkey dumpling advice today?
See, see, that's the problem, right? Let me send this text. Hold on. I ain't even texting Jesus right now, but I'm gonna get you in a minute.
You might need to.
Let me tell you something. See, that's the problem right there. Sick of you. I'm just sick of you. It's you and you know everything attitude. That's what's spilled over today's generation. Never want to listen. Don't want to hear nothing nobody got to say. Because you know it all. You got it all together. But your mind and all that stuff is so much disarray. I'm about sick of you. You hear me? I'm sick of you. Sick of you. Matter of fact, I don't even know why I came over here. Silver, I bless your heart for letting me stay, but your kids, I don't like none of your kids. I'm going to get my stuff, get their food stamps, and I'm going to sell my food stamps.
Go ahead, Doctor.
Because I got to pay my rent this month. And I don't know, I'm going to sell these things. Silver, I thank you, I love you, bless your heart.
Yes.
But next time, I'm going to stay home with my roaches. Because I don't even want to come over your house no more. And ladies,
Carrying the hat.
Ooh, girl, you gotta be lucky that I just got baptized for the 3rd time.
We had a guideline to follow when we were children. Now our children follow other children instead of listening to their parents. And we listened to our parents. We had to. Now that they're out of control, not everybody is out of control, because some children around here you still can talk to. So I won't call them all, you know that word they like to call. I don't call them that. I call them the Shivers. Yeah, always remember, Akabee was once a plantation. I got the papers to show it.
Hold it right there. You said Akabee was once a plantation? Talk to me about that.
Akabee at one time was a plantation, and when our grandparents and parents started coming in fact, we came from a tribe. We were named after a tribe called the Maccabees. A lot of people don't know that. They just take off the M. And that's how we became. In fact, the Maccabees came right over to Charlestown Landing. And when everybody was supposed to be free, they took boats and came over here, and this was the plantation. They started working, and when the man wanted to sail, they were some of the first people to buy into this plantation over there. Mr. Johnny Williams, during that time, my grandfather wasn't even in Akabee. They were all tongue, and I can even remember the people that migrated from out of the city, even though they came from some places else like Dale, Big State, Beaufort County, out there to Mount Holly. You had people from all over Georgia came into this neighborhood and bought these lots at that particular time for $25 a lot. The first person that I heard about when they was telling me the story as a child, Mr. Johnny Williams was the one that was living on 1st Street, 2nd Street downtown in the city. And they all heard about the property being sold in Akabee by him. There were quite a few people that moved from out of the city, migrated up here, and that family was the Sweet Wines, the Bradleys, and the Washingtons.
What year was this?
It had to have been back in the 20s. My dad was born in 1918.
So was that a lot of money back then, $25?
During that time, yes, it is, because this is my grandfather. He said he worked for 10 cents an hour, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week in order to make $7 a week. If he wasn't an electrician, he wouldn't even been able to finish pay for this property. And the property wasn't but $75.
$75 for 3 lots. But that was a lot of money back then.
Yes.
You seem to have the history.
Oh, yes. I've always loved old people, and I sit down and listen to what they say, and I kind of record it in my mind. It's like a pictorial thing.
Okay, but now Akabee is back in control and everything is running smooth. It's no different from any other community. There's no perfect person and there's no perfect community.
No, that's it. But at 10 o'clock at nighttime, most likely if you ride through here at night, you don't even see no kids on the street that time of night. No.
But during the early 80s, it wasn't like that.
The 80s, everything came in. You know how Satan get into your community and into the people. So now he know he's on his way out, so that's why the community's slowing down. Everybody trying to get it right because we know we ain't going to be here but so long.
I heard that. In other words, it was most like you told me off camera, they was following what they saw on television. People copy, see this, see that.
Imitating. We've always been an imitating crew, but the only thing we got to remember now that we were the original. We don't imitate behind anybody.
Well, let me ask you this question. Look at it into that camera. And in closing remarks, what would you say to a community or a parent, good advice that you could give them to whereas they could come to the place where they can get their family to meet their full potential?
Knowing God is the first thing. Raise your children like you were raised in the church. I've always heard them say you might deter off the wide road, but you one day you're going to come back to the straight and narrow. Because why? If you want to live you got to pray to live to see tomorrow. Not only just today. In order for us to keep on living, we got to stop dying. We got to stop taking each other's lives. That's not our way. And we've never been like that. It's time for the parents to stand up. Let's talk to our children. Let these children know we love them.
You heard it first on AC Fun Times. Akabee. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Pastor Doris Haynes. I'm the pastor of FaithWorks Ministries here in Charleston, South Carolina. I have been presented with the question regarding crime rising among our youth in the low country here, and it is something that I recognize that can be done. It's not an impossible job. If it's done with each individual taking responsibility for his or her their children, and not only that, for your neighbor's children. You know, God is good to us, and He's granted us with grace and mercy. God meets us where we are, and we should reach out and meet children and their parents where they are. Life is not very comfortable, but our children are our futures, and we are grooming them to be the future leaders of America. We would like to thank Mr. Arthur Chisholm of AC Fun Time for this opportunity to be interviewed and to share our opinion about involvement with youth in the Low Country.
AC, we're with you. Akua, this is for you.
I see everybody here. We've had a great turnout today, for lack of a better term, standing room only. And she's correct. We do need our young people to continue on. We have some young folks here that have come up through our baseball program, the Grant brothers, who are still playing, won a state championship last night. So it's good to see those folks out here. We hope they continue on the legacy that Mr. Perry and Mr. Webb have done so great with. So in closing, I'd like to thank everybody for being here this morning. We have some light refreshments inside for you, as well as some desserts. I want to thank Miss Evelyn Brown and her staff. They've done a wonderful job inside. The decor is fantastic, and I'm sure the refreshments will be great for you this morning. So again, thank you for being here today. On behalf of the City of North Charleston, Mayor Summey, and City Council, we now name this building the Perry Webb Community Center. Thank you all very much.
All aboard! This stagecoach is about to move out. It is for everyone that has potential and would love